This is London along the Thames, where Big Ben and Tower Bridge share the skyline and history blends with modern architecture. Buckingham Palace reflects royal ceremony and order, where guards move in formation and tradition meets power in the city center. Westminster Abbey carries centuries of history in stone and arches, while organ sound stretches through the silent air. Big Ben echoes across the Palace of Westminster as traffic flows steadily across the bridge and the city keeps its rhythm. Inside the British Museum, footsteps echo among ancient artifacts under steady lighting filled with historical weight. In Camden Market, music and voices blend with food aromas as metallic rhythms move through the crowd. Notting Hill stretches with colorful houses where coffee and baked aromas drift through calm everyday streets. From geography and history to landmarks, food, and local prices, we're going to explore this country together, so come along with YimuSays and let's dive in. London is located in southeastern United Kingdom in Western Europe, closely connected to continental Europe via the English Channel. From a European perspective, London forms economic and cultural links with France, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany across the Channel. Within the United Kingdom, London sits in southeastern England as both a political and financial core of the country. The city is organized as Greater London, made up of 32 boroughs plus the City of London in a multi-centered structure. The City of London is the historic core, while Westminster, Canary Wharf, and South Bank form political, financial, and cultural axes. London has a temperate oceanic climate with mild temperatures and frequent cloud and rain conditions throughout the year. Spring and early autumn offer the most balanced travel conditions with softer light and active city life. The Thames River runs east to west through the city, acting as a natural corridor linking historic landmarks and modern skyscrapers. The North Bank concentrates political and historic landmarks such as Westminster Abbey and the Houses of Parliament. The South Bank has evolved into a cultural zone featuring Tate Modern and the London Eye. Historically, Roman Londinium was the earliest form of the city, established as a trade settlement by the Roman Empire. During the Middle Ages, London grew into England's political and commercial center along the Thames. The Great Fire of London in 1666 reshaped the city and triggered large-scale rebuilding of its urban structure. The Industrial Revolution in the 19th century drove population and industrial growth, making London a global industrial and trade center. After World War II, Reconstruction led to the rise of modern financial systems and a global urban network. Figures such as Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, and Isaac Newton emerged from the city's cultural and scientific history. London became a global city because it integrates political power, financial networks, and cultural creation into one system. Landmarks. Strictly speaking, Big Ben refers to the Great Bell inside the tower, while the building itself is called Elizabeth Tower, standing at the north end of the Palace of Westminster beside the River Thames. The area around Big Ben is open to the public, but entering Elizabeth Tower requires a reserved tour ticket, while most visitors experience the tower from outside the Palace of Westminster. Because Elizabeth Tower is part of the UK Parliament complex, visiting arrangements can change due to parliamentary schedules and maintenance, so checking official updates beforehand is advised. Elizabeth Tower was built between 1843 and 1859 as part of the reconstruction of the Palace of Westminster, designed by Charles Barry with Gothic Revival details created by Augustus Pugin. The tower follows Victorian Gothic architecture, standing about 96 meters tall with 4 massive clock faces measuring around 7 meters in diameter. The Great Bell inside Big Ben weighs about 13.5 tons and was cast in 1858, using a complex mechanical system that has kept the clock remarkably accurate through decades of operation. Visitors standing near Westminster Bridge or Parliament Square can see the full composition of Elizabeth Tower and the Palace of Westminster, making this one of London's most popular photo locations. Although many people think Big Ben is centuries older, it was actually created in the 19th century to replace the old Palace of Westminster destroyed by fire in 1834. One lesser-known fact is that the name Big Ben was not originally an official title, and it may have come from Benjamin Hall, the engineer responsible for installing the bell. Beside the chimes of Big Ben lies another sacred site that has witnessed a millennium of British history. Westminster Abbey stands on the western side of Parliament Square in central London, only a few minutes' walk from Big Ben, forming the historic Westminster district with the Palace of Westminster. Visitors need a ticket to enter Westminster Abbey, with adult admission usually around £30, while access may be limited during religious services. Westminster Abbey is generally open throughout the year, usually from around 9:30 a.m., although schedules can change due to royal events, services, or special ceremonies. The origins of Westminster Abbey date back to the 11th century, built under King Edward the Confessor in the 1050s and completed in 1065 as a royal monastery. The main structure visitors see today was created during Henry Roman III major rebuilding project in the 13th century, featuring Gothic architecture with soaring vaults, stained glass, and detailed stone carvings. Inside Westminster Abbey are more than 3,000 tombs and memorials, including figures such as Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, and Charles Dickens. One of the Abbey's most famous areas is Poets' Corner, where many influential British writers are honored, including Geoffrey Chaucer and William Shakespeare. Westminster Abbey has hosted major royal ceremonies, including William and Kate's royal wedding in 2011 and Queen Elizabeth II coronation in 1953. Leaving the solemn Abbey, let's move toward the living heart of the British monarchy, Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace stands in the western part of Westminster, around a 10-minute walk from Westminster Abbey, located between St. James's Park and Green Park. Visitors need a ticket to enter Buckingham Palace, with access to the state rooms usually costing around £35 for adults during public opening periods. The exterior areas around Buckingham Palace can be visited year-round, including the Palace Forecourt and Victoria Memorial, while interior access changes depending on royal schedules. The palace was not originally a royal residence, but a private townhouse built in 1703 by John Sheffield, Duke of Buckingham and Normanby, before being purchased by King George Roman III in 1761. Buckingham Palace officially became the monarch's main residence after Queen Victoria came to the throne in 1837 and has since served as a center for royal work and state visits. The palace covers around 77,000 square meters and contains 775 rooms, including 19 staterooms and 52 royal and guest bedrooms, making it one of the largest working royal residences in the world. The famous royal balcony on the east side of the palace has witnessed many major public appearances by the royal family during weddings and national celebrations. The changing of the guard is one of Buckingham Palace's most popular experiences, lasting around 45 minutes as the King's Guard performs the traditional handover. Today, Buckingham Palace is not only a place to discover British royal history, but also a working palace where the monarchy continues its official role in modern Britain. Strolling from the royal residence to the River Thames, let's shift our gaze to London's modern icon, the London Eye. The London Eye stands on the south bank of London, directly opposite the Palace of Westminster and Big Ben, around a 10-minute walk from Waterloo Station. Visitors need a ticket to ride the London Eye, with standard adults admission usually around £30, while fast-track options and special packages cost more. The London Eye operates throughout the year, usually opening around 10 a.m., with closing times changing by season and extending later during busy periods. Unlike a traditional amusement ride, the London Eye works as a slow-moving observation platform, taking around 30 minutes per rotation while revealing different parts of London step by step. At the highest point of 135 meters, visitors can see Westminster Palace, St. Paul's Cathedral, the Shard, and the River Thames crossing the city. One lesser-known fact is that the London Eye was originally designed as a temporary Millennium celebration structure, but its popularity turned it into a permanent part of London's skyline. Crossing the Thames, let's ascend to the highest point in the City of London, St. Paul's Cathedral. St. Paul's Cathedral stands at the highest point of Ludgate Hill in the City of London, around a 25-minute walk from the London Eye, connected to the South Bank through Millennium Bridge. Visitors need a ticket to enter St. Paul's Cathedral, with adult admission usually around £25, including access to the main floor, Whispering Gallery, Stone Gallery, and Golden Gallery. St. Paul's Cathedral is open throughout the year, but Sundays and special religious events are mainly reserved for worship, with general visiting hours usually from around 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. The current St. Paul's Cathedral was designed by British architect Christopher Wren after the Great Fire of London in 1666 and was completed in 1710. The cathedral follows English Baroque architecture, with its famous dome reaching around 111 meters high and becoming one of the most recognizable shapes on the London skyline. Inside the dome is the Whispering Gallery, located around 30 meters above the floor, where the unique acoustic design allows whispers to travel along the curved walls. By climbing higher, visitors can reach the Stone Gallery and Golden Gallery viewpoints, offering views over the River Thames, Tower Bridge, the Shard, and the City of London skyline. St. Paul's Cathedral is also a major national symbol, hosting Prince Charles and Diana's royal wedding in 1981 and surviving the Blitz during World War II as a sign of London's resilience. Heading east along the Thames, a bridge combining industrial strength with Victorian aesthetics spans the water. Tower Bridge stands between Tower Hamlets and Southwark in eastern London, around a 20-minute walk from St. Paul's Cathedral and directly beside the Tower of London. Visitors can walk across Tower Bridge for free and enjoy the exterior views, while entering the Tower Bridge exhibition requires a ticket, usually costing around £13 for adults. Tower Bridge is open year-round, with road access available all day, while bridge lifts are scheduled around large vessels passing through the River Thames. Tower Bridge was built between 1886 and 1894, designed by architect Horace Jones and engineer John Wolfe Barry to solve growing transportation problems in London's Eastern Port area. Tower Bridge features Victorian Gothic architecture, with two main towers around 65 meters high and a total length of about 244 meters, while its opening base keel section allows large ships to enter the upper pool of London. Unlike many historic bridges, Tower Bridge has remained a working transport route since its opening, carrying vehicles, pedestrians, and cyclists while preserving its original engineering systems. One lesser-known fact is that Tower Bridge is often confused with London Bridge, but the two are different structures with separate locations and histories. Today, Tower Bridge continues to serve as a working transport route and remains one of London's most photographed locations, where Victorian engineering and modern city life operate together. In the shadow of Tower Bridge stands the city's oldest and most mysterious fortress. The Tower of London stands on the north bank of the River Thames, directly beside Tower Bridge, making it a key stop for exploring the historic origins of London. Visitors need a ticket to enter the Tower of London, with adult admission usually around £35, including access to the White Tower, crown jewels, and major historic areas. The Tower of London is open throughout the year, usually from around 9 a.m., although some areas may change due to royal events or maintenance schedules. The castle was founded after the Norman conquest in 1066, ordered by William the Conqueror, with the central White Tower beginning construction in 1078 to demonstrate Norman power and control London. The White Tower follows Norman Romanesque architecture and is one of England's earliest major stone castles, with massive walls designed for medieval defense. Throughout nearly 1,000 years of history, the Tower of London imprisoned many important figures, including Queen Anne Boleyn, who was executed here in 1536. Beyond royal history, the Tower of London is also known for the yeoman warders, who have guarded the fortress since 1485 and share stories of political conflicts and royal events. Today, the Tower of London remains a key place to understand Britain's royal history and how London grew from an early settlement into a global city, with most visitors needing 2 to 3 hours for a complete visit. Shifting from ancient fortresses to treasuries of human civilization, we step into a temple of knowledge, the British Museum. The British Museum stands in the Bloomsbury district of central London, around 20 minutes by underground from the Tower of London, near Russell Square and Holborn stations. Entry to the British Museum's main collection is free, although special exhibitions require separate tickets, with prices depending on the exhibition topic. The British Museum is open throughout the year, usually from 10 a.m. until around 5 p.m. with extended hours on some Fridays. The museum was founded in 1753 and became one of the world's first national public museums, beginning with the extensive private collection of physician and collector Sir Hans Sloane. The British Museum holds more than 8 million objects from around the world, covering civilizations including Egypt, Greece, Rome, Mesopotamia, and Asia. One of the museum's most famous objects is the Rosetta Stone, discovered in Egypt in 1799, which helped scholars decode ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs through its three-language inscription. Beyond the Rosetta Stone, the British Museum houses important objects such as the Parthenon sculptures, Egyptian mummies, and Assyrian reliefs. When visiting the British Museum, it is better not to try seeing everything in one visit, but to focus on areas such as the Egyptian Gallery, Greek and Roman Gallery, or Asian collection. One lesser-known fact is that the British Museum was created with the idea that everyone should have free access, a revolutionary concept in the 18th century that influenced museums worldwide. Today, the British Museum welcomes millions of visitors every year and remains one of London's most popular free cultural attractions, offering a unique view of how civilizations have connected throughout history. Moving from the history of human civilization to the evolution of the natural world, our next stop is the Natural History Museum. The Natural History Museum stands in London's South Kensington Cultural District, next to the Victoria and Albert Museum and Science Museum. Entry to the main collection of the Natural History Museum is free, although special exhibitions and events may require separate tickets and advance booking. The Natural History Museum is open throughout the year, usually from 10 a.m. until around 5:30 p.m. with closures during Christmas. The museum was founded in 1881, growing from the natural history collections of the British Museum. with its building designed by Alfred Waterhouse in the Romanesque Revival style. The Natural History Museum holds more than 80 million natural history specimens, covering animals, plants, minerals, fossils, and geological samples collected through centuries of scientific exploration. One of the museum's most impressive spaces is Hinsey Hall, where high ceilings, decorated columns, and natural themes reflect the museum design ideas of the 19th century. One lesser-known fact is that the museum once displayed Dippy, a Diplodocus replica skeleton that became a famous childhood memory for generations of British visitors. Today, the Natural History Museum is one of London's most popular free museums and one of the best places to explore the story of life on Earth, with most visitors needing 2 to 3 hours to see the main galleries. Hidden gems. Between slow-moving canals, white narrowboats glide gently through the water, and Little Venice feels like a quiet waterborne world hidden inside London. It is located in northwest London near Paddington, where Regent's Canal meets the Grand Union Canal. The name comes from a 19th century poet describing it as Venice-like waterways, but it remains a real residential neighborhood rather than a tourist-built attraction. Walking along the canal paths, you see narrowboats moored along the banks, where people live permanently in a unique floating community. There is no central London rush here, only water, wind, and the gentle rocking of boats creating an immersive sense of calm. It is part of London's canal network, allowing boat routes that connect to Camden Market, Regent's Park, and beyond. Visitors can take a canal boat cruise from Paddington, slowly passing through the quieter back side of the city. The most striking view is the reflection of Georgian houses and willow trees on the water, creating a soft urban painting. The best time to visit is late afternoon or early evening, when golden reflections appear on the water while the atmosphere remains calm for slow-paced filming. A long graffiti-covered tunnel stretches beneath Waterloo Station, where ever-changing colorful walls make Leek Street arches feel like a hidden underground breath of free arts in London. It is located in South Bank, directly beneath Waterloo Station, just steps away from the Thames Cultural Corridor. It was originally opened by Banksy during the 2008 Cannes Festival and later evolved into a legal street art creation space. Anyone is allowed to paint here, so the walls change daily, forming one of London's most dynamic visual art spaces. Walking inside, you hear spray paint echoes and footsteps blending into a powerful sensory mix of industrial space and art expression. Visitors can watch graffiti artists painting live and even join temporary art sessions, fully immersed in the creative environment. The entrance is often lit with neon and city lights, creating strong contrast between surface and underground space, ideal for short video filming. A lesser-known fact is that this tunnel was originally an abandoned railway space later revived as a legal arts zone, a classic example of urban regeneration. Local life. After exploring the landmarks, let's step into everyday life and experience the most authentic street and neighborhood atmosphere. Located next to London Bridge, Borough Market is one of London's key food markets, dating back to medieval trading routes in the city. Stepping into Borough Market, a narrow street quickly fills with crowds, tight stalls, and strong mixed smells of grilled meat, cheese, and seafood with constant noise around. Stalls here don't just sell ingredients. Many prepare food on the spot, sandwiches sliced from roast meat, seafood shucked and eaten fresh, very fast-paced. Office workers rush through with paper bags, tourists stop to take photos, while locals focus on price and freshness of the day. Deeper in the market, you'll find artisan cheese shops, British meat pies, Italian cured ham, and Middle Eastern spice stalls all mixed together. Next to the market is a small dining area where people stand eating, with views of the Thames River front behind them. Leaving Borough Market and heading north to Camden Town, the atmosphere quickly becomes louder and more visually intense. Camden Market is located along Regent's Canal, converted from old warehouses into one of London's most iconic youth culture and creative districts. Stalls are extremely diverse, from vintage clothing and punk accessories to second-hand vinyl records and handmade designer brands. Along the canal, musicians perform live with no fixed stage. Guitar, drums, and crowd noise blend into a continuous street performance. Camden also has many local pubs and casual food spots, not tourist restaurants but everyday gathering places for residents. For the real Camden experience, arrive after 3 p.m. when crowds peak and street music and atmosphere are fully active. Local delicacies. After exploring London's sights and daily life, let's dive into the flavors that are truly worth queuing for in this city. In Spitalfields, early morning queues already form outside fish and chips shops as the smell of fried oil mixes with the feeling of sea air in the street. When the fish hits the hot oil, the batter instantly expands into a golden crust, and the crackling sound feels like the rhythm of the city's morning. Fish and chips originated in 19th century London working-class communities, made with cod, batter, and potatoes, deep-fried until crispy outside and tender inside. At Poppy's Fish and Chips near Covent Garden, lunchtime queues often last 20 to 30 minutes. If you want the crispiest fish and chips, visit around 3 p.m. to avoid dinner rush hours. At old diners near Borough Market, sausages, bacon, and eggs for a full English breakfast sizzle together on a hot grill. A full English breakfast usually includes sausages, bacon, eggs, mushrooms, tomatoes, and baked beans, serving as a standard energy start for Londoners. Locals love full English breakfast because it provides a complete energy meal on one plate for a fast-paced lifestyle. At Hawksmoor on Sunday afternoons, roast beef comes out slowly from the oven, with juices flowing down as the knife cuts through. Sunday roast centers on slow-roasted beef or chicken with roasted potatoes, Yorkshire pudding, and gravy, forming a key family Sunday ritual. Sunday roast carries strong family gathering traditions, and many Londoners treat Sunday lunch as the most important social time of the week. In traditional East London shops, pie and mash is served on plates where rich gravy blends with mashed potatoes into a simple, hearty dish. Pie and mash uses beef or lamb fill-in with thick gravy and mashed potatoes, creating a heavy but deeply satisfying taste. Pie and mash has been preserved because it represents the food memory and working-class history of East London. Local prices. Let's take a look at the real cost of living here. Overall, London is one of the more expensive cities in the world, with daily costs often higher than many European cities and similar to international cities like New York and Paris, especially in central areas where dining, transport, and hotels cost more. For payments, London relies heavily on digital transactions. International bank cards like Visa and MasterCard are accepted in most shops, restaurants, and transport systems. Apple Pay and Google Pay are also widely used, and contactless payments work across the London Underground and buses, while cash is becoming less common. In a regular supermarket, a 500 ml bottle of water costs around $1.5. A 330 ml Coca-Cola is about $2. A liter of milk is around $1.5, and a dozen eggs cost about $4, giving visitors a quick idea of everyday grocery prices in London. For fast food, a McDonald's meal usually costs around $12 to $15, while a medium coffee is about $4 to $6. These are common everyday expenses for commuters and visitors in London. For taxis, London black cabs usually start at around $5, with fares increasing by about $2 to $3 per kilometer. They are convenient for short trips, but longer rides across the city can become expensive. For accommodation, A standard double hotel room usually costs around $150 to $220 per night in the low season and can rise above $250 during peak periods or major events. Staying in central areas like Westminster and Soho requires a higher budget, while booking early and choosing well-connected areas can save money. Final thoughts. As this episode comes to an end, here are some real-world details that can help you avoid common issues when traveling in London. In London, many tube stations have no elevators or very long escalators, so traveling with heavy luggage requires route planning to avoid exhausting transfers. Always remember to look right when crossing streets, because traffic flows differently, and it is easy to make mistakes at intersections without traffic lights. In many restaurants and pubs, water and napkins are not automatically provided, so you need to ask staff directly, which is a common local practice. In London, black cabs are usually more expensive but officially licensed and safer, while street hailing alternatives can vary significantly in price. Near major attractions, be cautious of street promoters or unofficial ticket sellers, as official booking channels are always more reliable. That's it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to YimuSays for more city travel insights from around the world. See you next time!